знаете, Петр Ильич, с того дня, что я хочу только одного.
A surreal and stylish historical drama, shining a light on the woman who lived in the shadow of a great composer. Tchaikovsky's Wife is Kirill Serebrenikov's latest look at Russian society, this time exploring the sexism and cruelty of the 19th century musical milieu. A director of film, opera and theatre, Serebrenikov's known for his critical eye and an artistic sensibility that's no longer welcome in Moscow. Kirill Serebrennikov, hello.
Hello, hello, nice to meet you.
Your film, Tchaikovsky's Wife, introduces us to Antonina Miliukova, whose devotion and emotional turmoil carries us through the film. Her very famous composer husband is quite cruel to her. We could see her as a victim, but in what way do you think they're equals?
Well, look, I don't want to pronounce the word victim, because I think Antonina acts not only like victim or as victim. She quite selfish and quite in special mood to protect herself. She tries to overcome the rules and regulations of the male society of the 19th century of Russia, which was quite anti-women. But in spite of all this, she acts and tries to prove that she exists, and she is quite a strong character.
Стоп, стоп! Ну, очень удобное место, Петр Ильич.
Ну, выброси его к черту. Толя, тут бемоль у тебя. Понимаете, милые мои, я бы хотел, чтобы это звучало как восход солнца.
There are some fantastic, dreamlike, surreal scenes in this film. In one scene, a character sits up at his own funeral and settles his scores, makes his complaints. I won't reveal who that is. If you could make the same kind of speech with no consequences, because you'd be dead, what would you say?
Look, I felt almost the same when I've been under house arrest, and but at the same moment I knew that a lot of people are supporting me, saying good words about me, and but I couldn't. I had no possibility to react because of I've been under restrictions and couldn't do it openly via social medias or other tools. So sometimes I felt like this. So it's my funeral, and I hear a lot of good words about myself and can't react. It's quite tricky and quite strange, but now, thanks God, we are all alive and can react to what they say about us.
Now, Antonina's marginalization is a major theme in this film, but sexuality is also there in the background, homosexuality. You've been quite outspoken in your support for the LGBTQ community, especially with regards to this so-called anti-homosexual propaganda law in Russia. How do you see the climate there now?
The climate is quite terrible. What the worst thing happening now in Russia, that all this anti-LGBT laws, the stigmatization of the gay people, and I think it's the worst might happen. And of course, in some places in Russia, there are people who use violence forward to the gay people. The most terrible thing is that it all comes from the state, from the government. The government normally, in normal country, is the thing which is protect the people against violence. Here, in Russia now, state government is a source of the violence against the people. And finally, I guess, I assume it will lead to the collapsing of the government, of the state itself.
Now, there was some criticism when Tchaikovsky's wife screened at the Cannes Film Festival last year about the inclusion of a Russian film in competition. The director of the festival, Thierry Frémaux, of course, had responded to the war in Ukraine 3 months earlier, saying that Russian delegations linked to the government would be barred, but artists like yourself wouldn't be. You have said that a cultural boycott is not a helpful thing to do. So what can the world of arts do to show their response to this war?
A lot of things to do. Articles, statements, collaboration with Ukrainian refugees, helping them with, I don't know, with money, by other a lot of things, a lot of possibilities. And of course, we need to say that the war is crime, and we're all against the crime. It's quite important to show our kind of connection with them, with the people who are suffering under the bombing, under this anti-human and criminal war.
And 1 year on from the invasion of Ukraine, looking at the war today, what do you see as the next steps for both of the countries involved, Russia and Ukraine?
We are lost. We understand that the main thing is to stop the war. I have no idea how to stop it. We definitely understand that it should be stopped by somebody, probably by some forces coming from outside, but have no idea how.
And I believe that this film project, Tchaikovsky's wife, received some funding linked to the Russian government at the beginning, and then you changed your mind about that. Can you tell us? No,
it's a little bit mistake. It's not connected with this film. Years ago, I wanted to shoot the film about Tchaikovsky, and the government money been the only possible source for projects like this, for kind of art cinema, let's say. They clearly explained that they don't want our film, they want to get the propaganda film. And it was such terribly opened, declared to our face. We want Tchaikovsky to be this, that, and so. So it was not like polite request, it was like almost the order. And then we refused to communicate with the state money, with the Ministry of Culture, which already a little bit later became the Ministry of Propaganda, and has a full responsibility for everything happening today in war in Russia and Ukraine, because it's part of this criminal ministry. Few years after, we decided to find the solution how to make this film possible, and less money, of course, chamber film, but we decided to make this film about Antonina, not about Tchaikovsky. Probably the big film about Tchaikovsky will be somewhere later.
Now, you're based in Europe now, I believe, but up until about a year ago, it was virtually impossible for you to leave Russia because of a house arrest situation. You didn't see the premieres of Petrov's Flu in 2021, near Leto in 2018 at the Cannes Film Festival. Now, you used to direct the Gogol Center theatre complex in Moscow during that period of house arrest. You were fired, and they eventually, in 2022, shut the whole thing down, the government. Do you believe there are Russian artists in Russia today who are making that challenging kind of work that challenges the status quo?
No, it's not possible, because it's really dangerous, danger for the life. It's not just kind of, okay, let's do something challenging and we'll see. No, the result will be really fast, because, as I told before, Russia is now filled with violence, and this violence comes from the state, from the power. You know, probably even better than me, if some people come on stage to express what they feel about the war, and just put the kind of sheet of paper without any words, they will be immediately taken to the prison, arrested. So it's not now. It's not a joke. It's not like a tricky games with a power. I think now it's not completely and absolutely possible to make this political or artistic statements. That's why a lot of people fled Russia. I mean, art people, contemporary art, dance, theater, filmmakers. Now I would call it the new biggest wave of immigration, and probably it's a tragedy, another tragedy for Russia, because if Russia loses the people who working in art, people who creating the culture, it's a tragedy. It's a national tragedy.
Now, an upcoming film project of yours explores the story of a Nazi doctor known for his deadly experiments, Joseph Mengele. This is based on the French author Olivier Guiez's book about his disappearance in South America. It's one of the most disturbing stories of the 20th century. What have you learned in the preparation of this film?
Look, it's like about the crime and punishment, and it means the punishment definitely will come, and probably it takes time, but the people who are responsible for terrible crimes, for blood, for suffering of a lot of people, they will get their disappearance. Because this disappearance, it's not only physical disappearance, how they try to hide themselves in the jungle. It's about the disappear of the soul, of the self-destruction. I think it's quite a revenge.
Kirill Serebrennikov, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for
Я принадлежу тебе и душой, и телом.